we're going to be looking just briefly. We're going to look at 11.5 and then we'll go to 11.6. I will give you 11.6 objective. So I'm not going to give it to you for this part because I just want to go over the main or the basic or the important thing that I want you to understand from lesson 5. So here, what we have is we have a unit cube. So we're looking at this three-dimensional figure, which is a cube. And so a cube, remember, it has 6 square faces. If we count it 1, 2, 3, then the bottom 4, the back 5, and the side 6. So in a cube, there are 6 square faces. And so a unit cube has length, width, and height. And so it has length, width, and height of 1 unit because we're going 1 up, 1 to the side, and 1 in, or going in depth. And so using these unit cubes, you can actually create more other rectangular prisms. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and go into that by going to whiteboard. So let me pull up whiteboard so that I can model that for you. So here on whiteboard, for example, I have a cube. If I put 2 cubes together, then I can say that I have 2 units, okay, going sideways, okay, because there's 1, 2, and then I have 1 going to the side, and I have 1 going up. So here, I made a rectangular prism by combining 2 unit cubes. So, but in total, I have 2 unit cubes. So I can understand volume this way, okay, that this rectangular shape is 2 units cubes. Okay, so this rectangular is 2 unit cubes. Okay, so let's make that bigger. Okay, so that is 2 unit cubes. Now I'm going to show you by creating other shapes. Here I have 1, 2, 3. And maybe I can keep putting cubes here to the side. Now I'm creating a different quadrilateral, a different prism by adding other figures here or other cubes. So in this example, where I have added more cubes, I can say that the volume of this shape is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now this shape will now have 6 unit cubes because I added more cubes. Okay, let me do one other example. Okay, let me erase all of this. Okay, so now here I'm going to make another rectangular prism where I have, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in this case, I put 8 unit cubes. So when we're talking about volume, okay, I'm talking about how many cubes make up this 3-dimensional shape. I have 2 rows of 4. So that would be 2 times 4. Or I can just count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the volume of this shape is 8 unit cubes. Okay, so let's go back to our book and look at some of those examples that we can try. Okay, so in our book, if we go down to our examples here, making connections, you can build other solid figures and compare the solid figures by counting the number of unit cubes. So we can see their volume, how much space they can take by counting unit cubes. So here we have a shape, right? A, a solid figure, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this shape is made up of 6 unit cubes. And then if we go to this one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unit cubes. So okay, this one we said it has 6 unit cubes. This one's made up of 5 unit cubes. So that means that figure 1 has more unit cubes than figure 2. That means that it holds more, right? Figure 1 holds more space. So on our here share and show, we're going to count the number of cubes to build each solid figure. So for number 1, okay, this is our figure, this rectangular prism. How many units cubes is this rectangular prism? So we're going to go ahead and count it, right? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that means that this rectangular prism is made up of 3 unit cubes. Okay, if we look at number 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, on the first row, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So remember that here on the side, you can see how deep it is. There's only 1 unit, okay? And then, so we have 3 up and 4 going, so 4 columns and 3 rows, but it's only 1 unit cube deep. So there's actually a total of 12 unit cubes. Okay, so basically I'm just counting how many cubes are in all, and it is 12 cubes. Now let's look at number 3. And so I'll do number 3 and 4, and then you will have some practice ones to do later on. Okay, so here we have a number 3. How many units cubes is this figure composed of? So we are going to count, right? We have 2 rows, right? Because we have it's 2 unit cubes deep. So that means that whatever's from the front is going to be twice as much. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 in the front. So we would just double that because we have another layer, right? Or you can just, you could see this in the back. You can kind of imagine it: 7, 8, 9, and then the bottom 10, 11, 12. So basically 6 times 2 is 12. And so we have 12 unit cubes. Again, because it's 2 unit cubes deep, it's 12. 6 in the front and 6 in the back. Our next example, number 4, okay, it's only 1 unit cube deep, right? Because we could see here, it's only 1 unit here. And then, so that means that we're just going to count all our squares, and that will be the total unit cubes. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that means that this figure is 7 unit cubes. All right. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to lesson 6 of chapter 11, where we want to understand volume a little bit better. So our objective on this lesson is that we will count unit cubes, which is kind of what we started doing on lesson 5. Count unit cubes that fill a solid figure to find volume. So now we're talking about volume, and that's where we want to understand what is volume. Let's read the connect section. You can find the volume of a rectangular prism by counting unit cubes, okay? Which we already learned what are unit cubes, right? It's a cube, which is the same. We have the same face in all 6 sides. Okay, it's a 3-dimensional figure. Volume, and here's what volume is, right? And we want to write this in our notes. I'm going to write it to the side again, just so that you know that you need to write this down in your notebook or somewhere where you can remember. Volume is the measure of the amount of space a solid figure occupies and is measured in cubic units. Okay, so we're going to be measuring, in this case, volume in cubic units. Okay, so we're gonna see here in this example, okay, this is our shape. Okay, and what we learned on the last lesson, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 unit cubes, and then it's 2 cubes deep. So we have 4 in the front and then 5, 6, 7, 8 from the back row. So the rectangular prism above is made up of 8, right? 8 cubic units. And so that means that it has a volume of 8 cubic units. So when we think about um, rectangular volume, we're thinking about how much space it takes inside of a three-dimensional figure. How much space does that figure take up? So there's this activity that I won't be able to use because I don't have unit cubes with me, but we will regardless practice just with using the diagrams. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over this because this is very important. It's going to be especially very important for your project. Okay, so to find the volume of a three-dimensional figures, you measure in 3 directions, which is something that I kind of talked about previously, right? We measure in 3 directions. For a rectangular prism, you measure its length, width, and height. So that means we're measuring going um, the long way. Okay, on the long way, we're going to measure. Well, actually, long way will be this, and then it will be length, width, how wide it is, and height, how tall it is. So it's basically we're going 3 directions. Um, how long, um, how wide, and how the height. Okay, so it's 3 directions. So I'm gonna go ahead and take, for example, um, let's see, a box. I have here some envelopes. Okay, I hope you can see that very well. Okay, I have an envelope, and so lesson 8 is basically on estimating. Okay, estimating volume. Basically, it's just calculating how many unit cubes do you think that fill different things around, like a box, um, a container, etc. So, but when we're talking about volume, okay, we are measuring, how wide it is. So from here to here, how wide it is, its length, its width, okay, wide, length, okay, and how high it is. So in this case, it's like the thickness of it, how high it is. So we're looking at 3 sides, 1, 2, and then going down. Okay, so that is very important that we understand. Okay, we're looking at this direction, this direction. So basically, it's kind of like the area, okay, of the base of this figure. Okay, we can see a rectangle, right, as a shape in the front. So in addition to finding, the area, then you would um, look at how high it is. So that's how it makes it different from two-dimensional figures to three-dimensionals. When you have three-dimensional, you have one more measurement, which is height. Okay, so in this case, height was like the thickness of this envelope box. Okay, so in this case, volume, now let's keep reading. Volume is measured using cubic units such as cubic centimeters, cubic inches, or cubic feet. So when we say cubic units, it's because we are multiplying 3 units, right? That's why it's cubic units, because the word cubic comes from the word cube that has it has 3 sides, right? It has the length, the width, and the height. That's why we do cubic units. And so cubic units can be measured in centimeters, in inches, and in feet. That is the reason why you are going to need your what do you call it, a ruler. Okay, you're gonna need a ruler, and I'll see if we can practice that in class before you move on to spring break. I'm trying to look for a ruler, but I don't have one around here. Um, so when you look at a ruler, you'll see that a regular ruler, you will be able to see centimeters and you will be able to see feet. And so we're going to practice that in class in measuring that before spring break. And so each centimeter, each inch, each feet, that will be considered a unit. Okay. So let's see here, which has greater volume, 1 cubic centimeters or 1 cubic inch? So for that, we would have to look at the ruler to see what's bigger, an inch or a centimeter. Think about it, and we will be talking about that. Okay. Now here it says, find the volume of the prism if each cube represents 1 cubic centimeter, 1 cubic inch, and 1 cubic feet. So if each cube was a centimeter, then we will write how many centimeters. So basically, we're just looking at how many cubes are in this three-dimensional figure. So how do we figure that out? Okay, well, here we have 3 units, 1, 2, 3, going in its width. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, and then in its height we have 1, 2. It's 2 units high, and then in its width we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. Okay, so in length we have length, width, and height. Okay, length, width, and height. If you switch these up, it doesn't matter. Okay, if you switch length with width, it doesn't really affect it, because basically what we're going to do to figure this out, you could count 1, 2, 3, right? That's 3 units, 4, 5, 6. So one row or layer is 6 units. So I could just count by 6, and for each layer. I have 6 layers because it's 6 units in height. So I could just go 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, right? Or another way is what I'm now going to give you is a formula, which that's what the next video is going to be about. But I'm going to give it to you now. Basically, what I'm doing is multiplying 3 times 6 times 2. I am basically multiplying all the numbers, okay, length, width, and height, to figure out how many cubes are in this figure. Okay, if I could have this in my hands and kind of break it apart, you will see that, I would have, 36 cubes that make up this three-dimensional figure. So let's see. That's one way that you can do it. You can also count by twos, right? For each top square, because, this is 2 units high. So I could go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, right? That's another way. The point is that you count all the cubes, and you have to keep in mind the ones that you can't see because it's in the back of this picture, right? Um, so, but the front is what's going to help you figure that out. So in this case, if my units are in centimeters, then this is going to be 36 cubic centimeters. That would be my volume. If each cubic inch is in inches, then my answer or my volume would be 36 cubic inches. If each cube or unit is in feet, then the volume would be 36 cubic feet. Now let's go ahead and look at these examples, okay? Here we're they're asking us to find the volume. So I see that I have 4 centimeters. It's 4 centimeters in length, okay? It's 4 centimeters in width, and it's 3 centimeters high, okay? Each cube is 1 cubic centimeter. So we want to know how many cubic centimeters, how many cubes are in this shape. Okay, so we're going to count that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have 12, right? And I'm going to write this here. 1, so that you could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And so this includes my height, right? because I'm counting the 3 centimeters high, and I'm counting the 4 centimeters length. So length and height. Now I need to include all the layers, the 4 centimeters that it has in width. So the way that I can do that is that I am counting by 12s 4 times. 12, 24, add 12, 36, and lastly add 12, 48. Okay. So I am just, doing each um, layer. Oops. So I have here that 36, and then the last one made 48. Does that make sense? 12, 24, 36, 48, because each, each layer back is 12 cubic centimeters. So in total, I can see that this rectangular prism has a volume of 48 cubic. And here's where they want you to fill out the unit. It's telling us that it's in centimeters. So this is 48 units cubic centimeters. Okay. And that is the volume of this three-dimensional shape of figure. So let's look at number 2. Number 2 might be a little easier because we only have 2 units cubes inches in length in width. So we have length 3, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we have 2 inches in width, 1, 2. And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4 units inches in height, how high it is, right? So if I count to my first face, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 in the front, the first cubes here in the front. But then there's another, layer, another row behind it. Okay, because this is 2 units, cubic units. So if I have 12 on the first one, okay, then I'm going to add 12 more for the next layer or the next row, which is 24. So if you were to break this figure apart, you would have 12 in the front, 12 in the back. So 12 plus 12 is 24. So that means that the volume of this shape is 24 cubic, and the units here is inches. So it's 24 cubic inches. And that is the volume of this shape. Okay, so we just figured out, what is volume? It's the space inside our shape. Okay, the volume inside our shape. Okay, so you will have some more problems to practice, and we will continue learning about volume tomorrow, and because this is very important that you understand how to do. All right, so see you tomorrow.